If you've been following our social media, you'll know that we let you guys decide whether or not I got this amazing hat, and you guys said yes, so here it is. Today we're talking about some cold weather tips that we have for you. Since it is starting to get cold, we are here in Indiana. We're still unsure as to what we're doing for the winter, but it's getting cold. So we thought we'd give you guys some quick tips on staying warm this winter. I was just talking about my new hat, the new mustache. Any thoughts on it?
I want to hear y'all's thoughts because I obviously have thoughts and opinions, but it could be worse, right? It could be worse.
All right, so some of these tips may seem very basic and simple, but these are some tips that we have for you guys to stay warm this winter. And first and foremost, the first thing you can do is simply check the weather.
Keeping on top of what weather is coming up is going to set you up for success as far as keeping warm if it's cold and looking forward to those warmer days when it warms up a little bit.
And if you look at the forecast and you guys realize that you need to move, you can be ahead of the game a little bit.
I want to say, if you see cold weather coming in that forecast, run away. There's no reason to stay in the cold weather. Get out of Dodge.
So if you're checking the weather forecast and you realize that it's going to be too cold to stay in your camper, make sure that you're somewhere where you can get out of your camper and somewhere safe.
Yeah, always have that safety net. I joke about, we don't want to be here in the cold weather, but one of the reasons we're able to stay in Indiana in the cold weather is because we have a house right next door. We mooch dock in my parents' backyard when we come back home, and there's a pole barn with a whole separate living space, or they have a whole house that if it gets dangerously cold or we don't feel safe, we can go. So always have a backup safety plan. If you can't stay in your camper safely, just have that safety net.
So having a safety net is important. And our next tip is to check your propane levels. We just upgraded our propane tanks to 30-pound tanks, and we bought new Mopica propane sensors that tells us the level of our propane. Check your propane levels, and if you know that you need to fill your propane before you start RVing, do that ahead of time.
Yeah, if you look at that forecast and see cold weather coming, just check on those propane tanks. Hey, I might as well fill them now so I'm not going out in the middle of a snowstorm or when it's super cold and I don't want to do it. Get ahead of the game. We did just install those Mopica sensors, and I'll be honest, I kind of gave Mike a hard time about them. Why do we need sensors on our propane? They've already been pretty awesome.
I'm sorry, what was that? I couldn't hear you.
It's okay.
If
your head gets any bigger, the hat won't fit, Mike. Okay, it's for your own good.
The sensors have been a huge upgrade to us, especially as it's getting colder. I really enjoy the little sensor reader inside the door that we installed as well, because I can just tap that button and it'll show me if our propane levels are going down.
So our furnace in the camper runs off of propane. That's why it's so important for us, especially in cold weather. But if the furnace doesn't work, it doesn't matter if you have propane or not. So another tip we have is before it even gets to that cold season, it's getting late summer, early fall, check that furnace. Flip it on even if it's not time to run it, so you make sure everything's up and running before you actually need it.
Yeah, run it a couple times during those warmer months. That can help you get ahead of the game as well. If you need to have your furnace worked on instead of doing it when it's, single digits out, you can get it fixed before cold weather hits. I keep forgetting that I have a mustache. So a couple things that we have in the camper to keep us warm are a space heater. Our space heater is fantastic because we can set the temperature and forget it. Also, it helps offset some of our propane usage.
Now, if you're paying for electricity wherever you're at, it is a big energy sucker. So just halfway, is it better to use your propane more or the electric heater more? But I do think it's a good idea to have two different sources of heat.
So right next to the space heater is our dehumidifier. And especially this time of year, it's so important to keep the humidity down in your camper because it helps not only heat your camper, but it helps prevent mold as well.
No matter how nice of a camper you have, it is not insulated like a house is. So you're going to get that humidity buildup. You're going to get some condensation when it's warm inside and cold outside. So dehumidifier, can't recommend it enough. We honestly held off on getting one for like the first year of RVing, and I wish we had just started off with one.
Another thing we have in our rig is vent pillows.
And those same vent pillows have been in the camper since we got it. We got those right off the back. I think they were like $8 a piece, and I thought they were kind of silly. They add a whole layer of insulation, and this is all about cold weather, but they also help out in warm weather, because when it's really hot, you can feel the top of those pillows are just like scorching hot, but the underside is nice and cool. And if you're thinking, Stephanie, you hate the cold, you're complaining about it, why are you outside and not in the camper? Well, we had to come check on the cows. My parents are home, we're not house sitting anymore, but look at these babies. How can you not come and say hi to them? They're so cute.
So a couple things that we have in case if our power goes out is we have alternate power sources. We do have a solar system. We covered that in a previous video. But one thing that we have that is a lot simpler is a small Blue Eddy solar generator. We've been really happy with it. It is small and compact, rechargeable, and in case if an emergency emerges, we have an alternate power source right at our fingertips.
Emergency emerges. I like that. The root of the word.
You like that? I thought it was a really good play on words.
It is nice to have that little backup. We can't run a ton of stuff on it for a long period of time, but especially with like any medical devices that you might have, cold weather comes with high winds and power outages, so it's always a good idea to have at least a simple, small alternate power source. These are just some simple tricks and tips for us. I know that a lot of us RVers have put up our campers for the year. We have winterized them, put them up. That's a-okay. If anyone else is still out there and this cold weather is hitting and you're either like, I'm sticking with it a little longer, or you full-time and you're gonna be in your camper through the winter, these are just small things that have helped us over the past few years of winter RVing, that you don't have to go to the extremes of skirting yet. You don't have to go to these huge, big upgrades. These small little things have helped us a lot over the last few winters.
Let us know down below, what's the coldest temperature that you guys have ever camped in? Ours, I think, as of right now, is -8 degrees Fahrenheit. And that was last year.
Yes.
So stay warm out there, stay comfortable. We love you guys, and we'll see you next time.
And let us know about the mustache, because I'm not sure how long it's gonna survive.